2024, eh? What a year. And to top it all off, I've managed to get sick right at the end of the year, which is, the perfect ending to a truly fabulous year. Jesus. There are lots of things I would rather forget about 2024, but that's kind of not really the point of this video. Because in this video, I'm going to remind you of some of the most important climate events of the year. Strap in. Now, first of all, I hate to say I told you so, but at the end of last year, I said this. The effects of El Nino on global temperatures were just getting started in 2023, which means that 2024 is likely to be worse, with higher temperatures and more extreme events. I predicted 2024 would be even hotter than 2023, with the warm ocean pattern El Nino supercharging the start of the year. I was right. Although El Nino had subsided by April, the temperatures remained high. So to all of you haters who said La Nina would pull temperatures back, 2024 is set to be the hottest year on record and the first year whose average temperature was above 1.5 degrees over pre-industrial temperatures. That's a major landmark that shows us quite how far we've warmed the planet, but it's not yet an indication that we've breached our international climate targets. And for more on why, watch this video up here. One exception to this, obviously, because we always have to be different, was the UK, which had its coolest summer since 2015. So the Gammons obviously went to town on the old climate change is a hoax thing. Are we not done with this already? Anyway, it was quite the contrast to the rest of the world, which was largely in flames, or underwater, or being ravaged by storms. Storms were a big feature in 2024, with several major events hitting countries all over the world. Storms, hurricanes and typhoons caused considerable damage in the Philippines, the UK and Ireland, Florida and the Gulf of Mexico, and most recently, of course, around the island of Mayotte. According to World Weather Attribution, all of these were made more impactful because of climate heating. The heat waves and droughts that occurred across the Northern Hemisphere summer, particularly affecting Southern and Central Europe, were also made more likely by climate change. And new analysis shows that climate change added an extra 6 weeks of dangerous heat for the average person in 2024, fueling extreme heat waves across the planet. Then there were the dramatic and devastating extreme rainfall events. Probably the most dramatic and most memorable of these was the flooding in Valencia, Spain, which resulted in hundreds of deaths, the highest death toll from a European flood since the 1960s. This case was a perfect example of how the physical and human risks can combine to create a much bigger disaster. Despite early warnings from forecasters 5 days before the event, the local government didn't issue official warnings until it was too late. Extreme rainfall battered the region, in some places bringing up to 500 millimeters of rain in just 8 hours. Around half of those who died in the resulting floods were over 70. Another reminder of how extreme events impact the most vulnerable in our society the hardest, and a tragic example of why preparation, planning and adaptation are so necessary to avoid loss of life. Temperatures weren't just high in the atmosphere. The oceans have also been much warmer than usual, contributing to lower sea ice concentrations in the polar oceans. You'll remember that last year was a bonkers year for Antarctic sea ice, smashing records by an insane margin. Well, this year looked for a while like it would break that record again, but in the end, 2024 came in just after 2023. So 2023 may not hold on to the title of the hottest year anymore, but it can hold on to that one. In May, a marine heat wave around the UK and North Sea coast of Scandinavia persisted for more than a month, with temperatures pushing the waters into a Category 2 heat wave across the waters between the UK and Northern Europe. Marine heat waves don't necessarily make the news so much because we don't experience them directly ourselves, but they can have significant impacts on marine animals whose habitats are disrupted. And although it's indirect, ocean temperatures do affect us land dwellers too. That May ocean heat wave impacted air temperatures, warming the land around Northern Europe by 0.5 degrees. Obviously, physical climate events were only half of the story in 2024, because the rest, as they say, was politics. Again, as I predicted last year, another disappointing COP. COP28 was of course a big disappointment, as will be, I assume, COP29 in Azerbaijan. I should start playing the lottery. But seriously, we're all coming to expect this, and more people are questioning whether COPs are fit for purpose in their current form, for good reason. This year's COP was in yet another petro-state, and despite record delegate attendance, very little actual progress was made on emissions cuts or adaptation. The next one is at least in the Brazilian Amazon, which will hopefully help delegates to understand what's at stake a little better and to set the scene for more meaningful action. One good thing that did come out of the COP was a slightly more concrete agreement on climate finance for developing countries, but all in all, it was a solid 2 out of 10 performance. According to my sources, the atmosphere at this year's talks was heavily dominated by one particular event. And the elephant in the room is, of course, Trump. America really did us dirty this year, and I know it wasn't all Americans, and the Americans watching this, you're probably not the problem. Whichever way you slice it, another Trump presidency really is bad news for the climate. It means other nations will have to take the reins on leadership and ramp up emissions reductions to continue driving positive change. Climate Adam and I recorded this response video in the immediate aftermath, and I don't think my thoughts have changed very much on the subject. So to summarize, it's pretty catastrophic news, but absolutely not a reason to give up or to stop fighting. So that's the energy I'm going to try and take into next year. The UK Met Office says that globally 2025 will be in the top 3 hottest years, with only 2023 and 2024 being hotter. But amongst the bad news, there were also a few wins, and I want to end on these because I think it helps us to remember that we can still make progress even when stuff is this dire. So firstly, in April, the European Court of Human Rights ruled in favour of a group of older Swiss women who said that their government was violating their human rights by failing to cut emissions. So this is a legal landmark and one of many cases being brought against governments to force them to take more concrete action on climate. The UK decommissioned its final coal-fired power plant at Ratcliffe-on-Soar, and this is something I have a personal connection to because I protested against that power plant as a young'un in the late noughties, which means that I am personally invested in it, but it also means that the UK no longer burns coal. China's emissions may also have peaked nearly 5 years ahead of schedule, largely because of a huge rollout of renewables and an increase in the amount of forested area in China. And on the subject of forests, deforestation in the Brazilian Amazon has reached a 9-year low, suggesting that the new-ish government is starting to reverse the horrendous trajectory of the Bolsonaro government who were previously in charge. Those are just a few that I picked out, but I know there are more wins from this year, so if you want to, drop some in the comments. 2024 was a rough ride for all of us, and I definitely feel pretty battered and bruised, but I've got some hopefully exciting news to come in 2025, including a TV show or two, some big changes, and of course, lots of videos, so stay tuned. Thank you to everyone who has supported me this year, especially my fabulous patrons. You help me keep this channel going, and obviously it wouldn't make any sense without every one of you watching, liking, and sharing them. So here's to you, and here's to a better year in climate for 2025. God, I'm gonna get so drunk if I have to do this again. Do us a favour and watch one of these next.